Rams at Seahawks. We've obviously seen these teams play before. The Seahawks are a 1.5 point home favor. We got a 42-point total here. We've got some maybe powerful wins pregame and through the kickoff, according to Kevin Roth here. That's obviously something we need to know here. It could be an interesting weather game up there in Seattle. Nevertheless, either way, big game here, Nate. Let's talk about first when the Seahawks have the ball. Have you been spooked by the way Sam Darnold has been playing of late? Because I don't know that he's looked. I mean, like I say, he's like, oh no, old Sam. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm asking you. I'm asking the peasant is asking the oligarch. Have you been a little spooked by how Sam Darnold has played of late?
When I first watched it on TV, I was, and then I watched it on All 22 today, the Colts game, and I was like, absolutely not. I actually thought he played great against the Colts. One of those where you have to see the routes. Where a lot of those on TV copy, it looked panicky. And then when I watched it on film, it was like, actually, no, it was good pocket movement. He was creating some throws, a lot of stuff underneath. I thought he was super. The last 3 drives, especially, he had some incredible throws, like truly, really, really good throws. So I feel a little bit better than I did. Even with the O-line, I feel a little bit better than I did after that game with field goal after field goal after field goal. The run game is still very
stinks.
It's gotten to they just have to get to 40% rushing success rate. I always say, to be like a true contender in my eyes. And they're at 8.9, 39.3. So they're almost there. So but the passing game just week after week, they really haven't had too many games where they just totally blow up. Even in the game against the Rams, they were still able to move the ball. It was just the turnovers, which obviously you can say like, oh yeah, just don't turn the ball over. So that's always the thing that you have to worry with the Darnold game. But I will say that we're starting with the Seahawks side of the ball, so I won't get to the other side yet. But I will say is that these are the 2 best teams to me. Even I know there's been some talk with Darnold dropping off, the O-line dropping off. The run game isn't all there, but they are still a good offense. Like the offensive system is still good. They have a defense that can keep them in game scripts that you don't have to drop it back too often. But the thing is, I'm watching when they drop back with no play action, and Darnold's still able to perform. Again, he's not going to be a guy that dink and dunks, but as far as generating explosives, that can still happen in this offense. So it keeps them so viable to me. The Rams are clearly the best team in the NFL. No one's even close to them. But I do think that the Seahawks are one of the best tier 2 non-Rams teams. If you want to put it that way, I would say 2, 3, or 4 in some way, shape, or form when I look at contenders. So yeah, I not only just like have I dropped off on Darnold, but really I'm still kind of staying strong with the Seahawks. They on rewatch, I feel a lot better about them than I do when I'm watching them on TV. And maybe I was watching a little too much Philip Rivers in that last game. That might be part of it as well. That was catching my eye a little bit.
Totally fair. He's hard to miss. I think when you're looking at the Seahawks like passing game too, Rashid Shaheed ran more routes in Cooper Kupp than for the first time all year, and I think that's going to be an important element in this game. I obviously from a fantasy standpoint, he's a deep play. I think the Darnold Shaheed, like their connection is still kind of evolving. I think like when you watch Shaheed in isolation, I think you can see why Kubiak wanted him, why the team wants him. He instantly just knows what he's doing in the offense, but him, like Darnold and JSN just had that like instant chemistry. I don't think that's quite happened with Shaheed and Darnold just yet. And obviously Shaheed and JSN are very, very different receivers, but he had a lot of success, not in the first matchup. He was still obviously week 11, but when Shaheed went against the Rams defense when he was with the Saints, that was one of his better games. And I think like getting him loose on this secondary that can be vulnerable would be a big thing for them in this game. If that connection can continue to evolve, that obviously I think would help out the offense a ton, because I do think that the Seahawks offense can have some success against this defense. Obviously it's just all about, can you block it up and can you exploit those holes that are going to be there in the secondary?
It was the most explosive offense we had seen since in the new millennium for the first chunk of the season. It's tapered off a little. It's still been explosive. They had 6 explosive passes last week, and they could have had more. There's 2 drops. But going against this Rams defense, teams have shown that if you attack Emmanuel Forbes over and over, you can get them. And if you attack him vertically, I already brought up the Jameson Williams thing. You can get them when you catch them these certain quarters looks. You can attack them vertically because their safeties like to sniff downwards. They're very smart safeties, and they like to make plays downwards. They like to keep their eyes down. So you can attack them deep if you're willing to push it and can protect. That's always the big thing. But that's where Shaheed, in theory, can come alive because, okay, maybe there's a post route available. Maybe there's some deep ball available for him to get. And JSN's been viable on those as well this year, too. So can work in conjunction with each other.
What about when the Rams have the ball going against the Seahawks defense, which still has been quite good?
I also meant to mention Rams defense also susceptible to quarterback design runs. And Sam Darnold hasn't been used on those quite much, but maybe this is a type of game to kind of throw those in. They've allowed the highest yards per carry on QB design runs this year. So just one of those things I also wanted to throw in there. But other side of the ball, this is good on good. This is the defense, the only defense, like the Rams offense is entering all time, stratosphere. Like as far as they are almost deserving of a name, greatest show on turf 2. Like they're getting to that point. But the only defense to slow them out this year consistently was the Seahawks defense. That was, and really the big plays in that game came in a lot of, especially run game wise, came on designer plays like short yardage stuff that's more game planny. Not in it was the opening script and then short yardage. It wasn't the true flow of the run game like they usually kind of get stuff where it's like there's another 2nd and 6 run going for a big yardage that got stifled throughout the game. So kind of more boom busty than they've been typically used to. And I think that's going to continue in this game where, yeah, they're going to get there. So it's the Rams offense, but it's going to be more of like there's going to be some 3 and outs more than they're used to. This is the 2 of the best teams. And I think it's just going to be a continued performance, and it's in Seattle as well. That's the other thing. And there's rain and everything. Just going to be a little bit uglier. I do think that they use a lot of tight ends as well. Davante Adams has the banged up hamstring. Also, that's what they like to use anyway. So it might be a Colby Parkinson week.
Oh, yeah. I think I've picked up Colby Parkinson in one of my leagues, and I'm probably just going to instantly drop him into the starting lineup here because while
Mike Gesicki didn't work out.
No, that team got eliminated last week. Not all Mike Gesicki's fault, but this is a different team. I might be playing him over Jake Ferguson. Who I like Jake Ferguson, but he's just been kind of lately. But I might play Colby Parkinson over Jake Ferguson and go for that. I know you mentioned all the stats earlier about the tight ends.
I know. That's what I was like,
coverage. So that did have me second guessing it, but I do think that Colby Parkinson, you mentioned they're going to throw a lot of tight ends out there. Now, Seattle is the one team that has actually made the efficiency print fest that has been 13 personnel for this Rams offense kind of slow down, but still Parkinson caught a touchdown in that game. And he's just been the guy, the do everything tight end in 13 personnel because Ferguson is kind of that field stretcher. Davis Allen is more of a pure blocker, whereas Parkinson can do a little bit of both. Since week 12, the first game without Tyler Higbee, he actually leads all of the pass catchers in snap rate on this team. It's 72%. He's 3rd in route participation, and he's caught 4 touchdowns in that span, including 2 last week. So I think that for Parkinson is a viable tight end streamer in this matchup. And if you just look at obviously the Seahawks are great as a defense overall, but if you look at them from a fantasy standpoint, they're 3rd against quarterbacks from a schedule adjusted standpoint. 4-for-4 has got a great metric for this. They're 3rd against quarterbacks, 1st against running backs, 1st against wide receivers. They're 18th against tight ends. So it's usually you see this with these great defenses. If they're going to give you something, it's going to be that tight end, stuff underneath. And that's where that production kind of comes from.
Yep, it's just because they want to take away strength. Usually if they focus on a lot of tight ends, they're making you matriculate down the field. They're making you just be slow and be steady down the field as opposed to letting you get the boom bust plays that offenses want to get to on the outside.
Anything else from this game, Nate? Before we let you go to deal with your real life game prediction, any other player to watch? Anything else from this game before we let you go?
No. This game, I'm kind of bummed I can't do my deep dive, true deep dive in this game because it might be a game of the year type of candidate. I want to see what Davante Adams when he comes back, I think that's what the Rams have done this year is they've given themselves ways to pivot when guys like Adams or Puka Nacua get hurt. So I just really am excited, just more as a real football sense in this. I predict actually the Seahawks win, but I still do think that the Rams are the best team in the NFL still. So it's not indicative of anything else. I just think that just how this game flow goes, I think the Seahawks might be a little more geeked up for it. But I will just say over our big point is that the Seahawks haven't had as much of a drop off as you think. The review of them on offense is that this is kind of their formula. The run game is not going to be great. It's going to be frustrating at times. But man, the passing game is still some good stuff, and I still think Darnold's playing a little bit better than you would think. I was surprised too on rewatch.